Does she know that the pothole got fixed?
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we're ready to begin our June 27th City of Gardena regular City Council meeting. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Noting the presence of all council members.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, do we have anything to report from closed session?
Yes, the council unanimously approved the sale of city-owned property at the northeast corner of 165th Place and New Hampshire Avenue to J Investments LLC for the price of $400,000 with a reservation of 10 public parking spaces. We will prepare an agreement to implement that and bring it back for final council approval.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we're going to begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Haley Mason and Hollis Mason. Immediately following that, if everyone can please continue standing for our invocation, which will be led by the Reverend John E. Ward.
Do we say please? Everybody put your right hand over your heart. Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You can sit down now.
Will everyone please remain standing at this time, and tonight's invocation will be led by the Reverend John E. Ward. Thank you.
May we pray. Almighty God, our Creator, our Father, we ask for your presence in this meeting of our Gardena City Council. Your word, Father, says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord," and you, our self-existent, eternal Lord, have blessed our great nation beyond any other. You have endowed us and all mankind with the right to light, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you for your freedom to prosper through our work and creativity, and the freedom to worship according to our convictions. We ask you, Father, to bless our mayor and city council members and their hard-working staff with health and happiness and a strong sense that you approve of their efforts. We ask that you empower Chief Ed Madrona as he begins his duties as our acting city manager. Give him strength, courage, and insight to do what is right for our city. And to Mitch Lansdell and his family, give them the time, the energy, and the means to travel and to do all of the enjoyable things they can do now that Mitch has retired. We thank you, Father, for the blessings you pour into our lives with great abundance. And now may your Spirit preside over this meeting. In the name of Jesus, to whom be glory forever and ever. Amen.
Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance was led by two students, Haley and Hollis Mason. Can both of you guys please come back to the front? Haley and Hollis are both twins, and they are second grade students, or will be second grade students next year at Pertry Elementary School, and they are also participants in the summer day camp program at Arthur Lee Johnson Park. So, Haley and Hollis, can you tell me who came with you tonight, who brought you to tonight's meeting?
Our mom and our granny.
Your mom and your grandmother? Okay, where are they at? Mom's here and grandmother. Thank you guys for bringing them out to tonight's meeting. Everyone, please give them a round of applause. And Haley, would you like to say anything tonight?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you for letting us speak in this meeting that's being recorded.
Okay, thank you. And Hollis, would you like to say anything?
No.
No? Okay. Well, thank both of you guys for being here tonight. We've enjoyed your presence and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So everyone, please give them a round of applause. Thank you. You guys can take your seats now. Reverend Ward, if you could please come back to the front again. So tonight's invocation was led by the Reverend John E. Ward, who is the senior pastor and minister of music at First Southern Baptist Church of Gardena. Reverend Ward has served at First Southern Baptist Church for over 43 years. He was called to serve as an associate pastor in 1974 and was ordained as a minister of gospel in 1976, and has been the church senior pastor and minister of music since April of 1996. In addition to his preaching, teaching, ministry, and music-related activities with his congregation, Pastor Ward composes, arranges, and teaches choral and instrumental music and is a freelance professional jazz trombonist. Reverend Ward also supports and has participated in numerous City of Gardena programs and community functions. He and his wife have 4 children, 10 grandchildren, and 13 great-grandchildren. Pastor Ward, would you like to say anything?
Thank you. Mayor Serta, members of the City Council. If I may, this coming Sunday morning, July the 2nd, First Southern Baptist Church of Gardena will be celebrating our 43rd annual God and Country Day. There will be readings of Scripture. We will be reading from our founding documents, but mostly it will be a musical service. The congregation will sing patriotic music. The choir will sing patriotic music, and all will be accompanied by 11 live musicians, which I think are the best kind of musicians, live ones. God bless you for all you're doing for our city.
Thank you. So, yes, please give him a round of applause. So at this time, we have one proclamation, which is for Parks and Recreation. So July 2017 is recognized as Parks and Recreation Month. So the month of July has been designated as Parks and Recreation Month in the month in California and throughout the United States, with the 2017 theme, Get Your Play On. Our nation is most fortunate to have a wonderful variety of parks that provide countless recreation opportunities for our citizens and for our visitors around the world. July has been chosen as a month to focus on the positive mental and physical benefits of self-renewal experiences that come from the involvement of leisure activity provided by professional parks and recreation workers, especially at Gardena's 6 beautiful parks and their other recreational facilities, thereby contributing to the good health and quality of life for our entire citizenry of Gardena. So July 2017, again, is Parks and Recreation Month in the city of Gardena, and we urge our citizens to use and enjoy Gardena's parks and recreation facilities, being ever mindful that recreation services and programs make valuable contributions to the well-being of all. And let's see, next up, we're at appointments. Does any member of the council have any appointments to be made to any committees, boards, or commissions at this time? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to the consent calendar. Does any member of the council have any item that they would like to exclude from the consent calendar? Yes, council member.
There's nothing I want to exclude. Just a quick question for you, Mr. City Manager. In regards to convergent service calls that they came out for the 27th of June, Was that covered under our warranty, or was that outside of the warranty, like a system failure or something different other than what we were expecting as far as like system glitch or something?
Yeah, most of those are covered by the contract, time and materials when they respond.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other, or if there's no objections, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as is?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Medina and seconded by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call for the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next item is Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action sheet, and it looks like we have one item on here, item number 7A1. Does any member of the council wish to call for a review on this particular item? If not, then it looks like we will receive and file at this time. Okay, next up is oral communications. Tonight we have several speakers here, and first speaker being Deborah Griffin. I believe there's two Deborah Griffins. Two Deborah Griffins speaking tonight. So the first speaker is Deborah Griffin, and the second one is Deborah Griffin. And I just want to remind everybody that you do have 3 minutes. When the yellow light comes on, that's your warning. And when the red light comes on, at that time, finish your statement. You can stop at that time. Okay? Thank you.
Honorable Mayor Tasha Serta and members of the City Council, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Deborah Griffin, and I am representing 134th through 132nd of Van Ness Avenue. I'm also representing 134th Place between 2200 and 2400 block. The following attached petitions are signatures of homeowners of 134th Place between 2200 block and 2400 block that are in favor of a permit parking. The following attached petitions, other ones, are signatures of homeowners on Van Ness Avenue between 132nd and 134th Place that are in favor of permit parking. It is unanimous agreement the homeowners have considered the activities on Van Ness that live across the street from Raleigh Park and asked that the permit parking between 132nd Street and 134th Place hours would begin between the hours of 6 p.m. and 11 a.m. We are emphasizing no overnight parking. We are considering that Raleigh Park has activities, so therefore we are requesting permits for no overnight parking. 134th Place to 2200 block and 2400 block want permanent parking permits. This petition is critical based on homeowners deprived of parking in front of or on the same block in which we live. We have homeowners that have been overwhelmed with unidentified persons and parking vehicles, storing other vehicles for an unlimited period of time. Our yards and our front streets areas of our homes have been left with garbage and debris discarded from their vehicles. Attached, I have permanent signatures from the homeowners on 134th between 2200 block and 2400 block. Out of 10 homes, there are 8 homeowners who are in favor. For Van Ness Avenue, 132nd Street to 134th Place, out of 17 homes, there are 16 petitions here requesting permit parking. Thank you.
Ms. Griffin, if you could just hand that to our city clerk, and also I would suggest if you could see Captain King, who's in the back. Captain King, do you mind raising your hand here? And if you guys can see him, and then he can help you a little bit further with that. Okay, thank you. Are you also the second speaker, or is there another Deborah Griffin?
Yeah, because I was representing 2 streets, so that's why I filled out 2.
Same thing for both.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Our next speaker is Steve Allen.
I'll take the autographs later.
You heard of something?
Good evening, Mayor Serta and Council members, thank you for giving us this time to speak. Also, I'm representing the members of Spinning Avenue on 132nd to 134th, right behind Perchie Avenue School. We are also having the same problem with parking on our street, and we would have had a lot of more people here, but my block is seniors. And it's kind of hard for them, the way the people in the park, that parks on the street that doesn't belong, which they are down on Van Ness and between 135th and 139th. They park in our area, and it's just like, it's like Deborah was just saying, they cause a lot of chaos, and they litter the streets. And one member of the neighborhood told the guy to pick up the paper that he just dropped down, and he just said, okay, he picked it up and threw it back in the street. And so it's just disrespecting, the neighborhood and not keeping it clean. And, it's just not the problem. We hate to have this done, but it's out of control. And this is the only way we feel that we can do it. And if Van Ness is approved for parking, then they're going to encompass our block and the next one over even more. And, the neighbors were complaining already because of when they have relatives come over, they can't park their cars on the street. They have to go around the corner. And when they park their cars, they have valet parking. They leave one car, get in another car, and leave, and come back. And the cars stay on the street for like 3 days. And we call the police the traffic controller to mark the tires, but they know to move the car in 3 days. So it's nothing we can do, and the clock starts all over. And so, but it's like the neighbors said, they hate to do this, but we have to put some control on it some kind of way. And if it be granted, we would really appreciate that, Mayor.
Mr. Allen, I would encourage you to also step outside with Captain Kane. So while he's speaking with the residents from Van Ness, he can also help you as well, because I'm sure they would probably try to work with both streets at the same time.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for bringing that to us. Next speaker is Perry Johnson.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Gardena City Council, this is my third speaking about the mixed-use overlay in Gardena. If you remember, I believe 4 weeks ago and 6 weeks ago I was here. Since then, I've talked to many of the homeowners which are directly behind the mixed-use structures that are going up. All the ones I talked to are universally agreed that they don't want them behind their homes. It's going to cause a lot of problems. Tonight I'm bringing a petition signed by 18 of these homeowners. And I'd like to read you the petition so that everybody can get a record of this. The owners of the property commonly known as Gardena, California, do hereby petition the City Council of Gardena to repeal the mixed-use overlay, Chapter 18.19. The mixed-use overlay zone allows residential / retail structures 35 feet tall, only 20 feet behind my rear property line. These proposed tall structures will negatively affect the use of my home with additional noise, people looking down into my rear yard, and visual pollution. I expect the resale value of my home to also be negatively affected. Now, these are the homeowners that are directly behind zoning which has been done mixed use. We're asking that it be repealed. That's Chapter 18.19. I gave a copy to everybody, I believe, 2 times ago. To get an idea of the magnitude of the mixed use, last time I said it's 5,000 residential units would be added along Rosecrans Avenue and Western Avenue. So if this project is completed and they build all 5,000 units, and you stood at the intersection of Rosecrans and Western, and you look south or west or east, you probably wouldn't see any single-story structures. They'd all be destroyed. and these new structures would be built. All the current businesses would be out of business, and that part of town, there's a lot of automobile repair facilities. They aren't even allowed under the mixed-use overlay, so they would have to leave town. So we're talking about hundreds of businesses going out of business. And I often wonder, why do we have the power to say which business stays and which business goes? I don't think we do. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. The next speaker is Matthew Willis.
Thank you for allowing me to speak, Mayor and City Council members. I am one of the homeowners that Mr. Johnson is referring to. I live on 2509 West 144th Street, and in my backyard is a lot. And Mr. Johnson stopped by my house on last Friday and told me about this possibility of building large, multiple-story structures in my backyard, essentially. And so I felt strongly that I wanted to come to this meeting and voice my grave concern that that does not happen. So I am just wanting to come here in person, as well as my name is in the petition, to look at you all in the eye and say, please consider repealing this chapter 18.19. And that's why I'm here. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker is Warren Kronberger.
Good evening, Council. I'm Warren Kronberger. You guys know who I am. I'm here to voice my objection to the police chief getting the position as city manager. I talked during the election that it opens up the door for corruption. I think it's unethical, because I think it does open up the door for corruption. You're letting the police department run our city and have control over our finances. According to the police department, it's already getting a little over 37% of our yearly revenue. I think we need to open the door, open up a thing, and let people apply, and give chances to other people to be city manager. I don't like the way he was put up in the position. It was done in a bad way to me, and I'm here to say I don't like it. He said that when I interviewed him that if people were against it, he wouldn't take it. Well, I'm here to say people are against it, so thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Charity Chandler Cole.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Charity Chandler Cole, and I would like to make a few remarks regarding the recent appointment of Chief Medrano to the position, acting or otherwise, of City Manager. And please note that my comments are in no way a reflection of Chief Medrano's effectiveness as a Chief of Police. During the recent elections, the importance of selecting a city manager was a critical platform and talking point for the candidates. And those that were elected had a lot to say about it, especially even to the extent of advocating more for Chief Medrano to become city manager than your own issues and platforms to become mayor and city council member. Also during the elections, the community stressed the importance of not appointing Chief Medrano as city manager, especially without first conducting a national search, whereby you could review the candidates' credentials, experience, and capacity to lead our city and help it thrive and move forward. What we thought was a result of you guys hearing our concerns, the position of the city manager was posted on our city website and was listed as open until filled. By the way, it's no longer listed, even though he's in an acting capacity. It's no longer on the website. Although applicants filed for the position, 0 were interviewed and considered, and the possibility of having a great candidate for city manager, if it existed outside of Chief Medrano, meant nothing because the posting was apparently a ploy to keep the community quiet under the guise of a national search, with the council having no intentions of considering anyone outside of Chief Medrano. It is no secret that in Gardena, the city manager holds the true power because they are in the trenches, they're brokering the deals, and they're making recommendations to a council that, in our case, says yes to almost everything. And it's not because you agree, it's because you are sometimes uninformed, or you fail to research the topic beforehand, or in many cases, you're just completely oblivious to what's going on or what's being discussed. So in an effort to not appear completely lost, you say yes. The only member of this council that asks relevant questions to the topic at hand is Councilmember Henderson, and I applaud you for that. Because of the power of the city manager, because of the power the city manager holds, coupled with the ignorance equals yes approach our council takes, I am worried that the demands of the police department will outweigh the needs of our city and our community members with a chief of police in charge, who, by the way, does not live in our city and whose decisions will not impact him directly. By the way, over 45% of our general revenue funds go to the police department, not to general services provided to our community, not to fixing our streets and parks, and not to investing in our youth and schools. And it is a direct reflection of the strong hold and control the police department has over our city. Appointing Chief Medrano as opposed to someone with a fresh and new perspective that is unbiased and untainted should have been your desire and goal, and his appointment poses an ethical conflict of interest. But you as a council failed to consider other options. You failed to take the community's concerns into consideration, and you failed to lead effectively. As a council members and mayor, you're public servants. Your job is to advance and fight for the will and need of the people and the community, not the police, and certainly not your careers.
Ms. Cole, your time's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is item number 8A1. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Serta, members of the City Council. This is a three-part public hearing. First, we'll have a presentation on the city budget. Next, we'll establish appropriation limits for 2017-18. And then lastly, we'll authorize the filing of a claim with the LA County Metropolitan Transit Authority. So we'll first begin with the budget presentation. Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, before I begin the presentation, I just want to point out what's here to my right. We've received over the years a number of complaints from community members sitting behind me not being able to see the screen, and thus we thought we'd address this right away, and we're going to be using this in the future to allow all of our community members to have a good view of what is being presented to the City Council. So let's get on with the presentation for the 2017-18 budget. Okay, so you've all seen this before, our mission, vision, and value statements. Nothing has changed. This has been a pretty consistent theme for us over a number of years. Clearly, this budget is structured around meeting those mission, vision, and values. And that's the direction that we have taken in just about every budget cycle relative to meeting those expectations. So we've had an interesting recent developments here. Obviously, we had our election. We had a new mayor, 2 council members. This is the first time for at least 2 of you hearing this presentation. And our elected city treasurer and city clerk were once again reelected. So for those of you who have not seen this presentation, I had the opportunity to do it last year, and hopefully you'll see some new insights on this presentation for those who have seen it before, and others, hopefully you'll find it relevant to explaining our budget in pretty good detail. Obviously, internal, we've had some organizational transitions. Mitch Lansdale retired, our long-term city manager, and certainly someone whose fingerprints are all over this budget. I'm acting as the assistant city manager, and I hope to at least come close filling his shoes, although that's pretty difficult. And I also want to remind everyone, when we did the super department, we had some contraction in the overall leadership of the organization. We have recently sort of gotten back to expanding those super departments and spreading the wealth out a little bit. Joseph Cruz, our new General Services Director, has taken on what I had been previously doing as community development and the streets part of Public Works. The next logical development would be to finalize at least what we think would be a stable operating department structure with the addition of the Administrative Services Director. This has been vacant since 2013. Does the clicker work? Nope. Okay, we're going to continue on. So this is what our current organizational structure, obviously the boss of the community, then you're next in line with the elected city council. We have 4 major operating departments, as you see there, and our recommendations in the future sometime we'll bring to you is add additional 5th one with the Admin Services Department. So it's a 2-year budget cycle. Those of you who are here last time, this is really a restatement of what you already saw last year with some new developments and some new information about where we predicted we would be and where we're going to end up being. Nothing has really changed significantly since the last time you saw this budget. It is part of our 2-year budget cycle, and as a result, you know, it should be nothing unexpected in the document that you have in front of you. So this is our general fund expenditures, $55 million and $631,785. As been pointed out, police takes up the vast majority of this budget, 46%. Followed up with public safety, that's including our fire contract with the LA County Fire Department, as well as the RCC contract for being our PSAP. Next in line would be Recreation, Human Services, Parks, and Facilities at 11%, and there on this you can reflect on where the rest of the general fund budget goes. Next, a slide that many of you are familiar with, a slide that's been pretty consistent over the last several years. Sales and use tax are our top revenue source, followed closely by card club revenue, then property taxes, utility users tax, and motor vehicle in lieu. Just want to point out a couple of things on that. As the card club revenue, you see there's a dip there. That dip there around the 2016-17 is reflective of that transition from the Normandy Club to the Lucky Lady Casino. Revenue has dropped, but as you see now, with our increase in card club revenue, the Lucky Lady Casino is bridging that gap of the revenue and meeting its economic incentive threshold that we negotiated with Mr. Flint. Property taxes are pretty flat, but we predict that in the upcoming years, they will continue to increase based on many new developments coming onto the rolls. MBK is fully done. We have KB Homes that are in transition, Olson Homes, and a couple other major projects that will add to that property tax bottom line. I want you to just understand that when you take a property such as the Cabana Nursery, who was sitting there for a long time at almost at a 0 basis for property tax, and you put 96 units at, selling above $500,000, that's a significant increase to our bottom line relative to property taxes. Utility users tax there, you see a little dip there, and that dip was as a result of us not capturing utility users tax on cell phone, and the City Council a little over a year ago approved a change to our utility users tax to let us capture that source of revenue that we were missing because of the way our municipal code was written. And then motor vehicle in lieu is at $5.5 million, is pretty stable. Now, I want to point out here, Gardena is in a very special place. One, a lot of cities have at least 3 of these things. Everyone has sales and use tax, well, at least they hope. Most people get property taxes and the motor vehicle in lieu fee. A lot, not all cities have utility users tax. But the 5th one, the variable, that card club revenue, is that additional thing that most cities don't have. So you put those 5 together, it gives us a very diverse revenue source, a stream that I think has been able to keep us, when things go bad throughout the region, we're able to diversify enough because of our revenue sources to really weather the storm. So this slide, I think, has a lot of great information. And I think it's pretty exciting, too. But, of course, I'll start off with some negative. First, you'll see on all the way to your right, where we see in bracketed $541,000 in taxes, that was a direct result, as I pointed out on previous slides, the dip in card club revenue that occurred. But you see the next line, almost offsetting it completely, is an increase in license and permit fees. That's sales tax and everything else that we collect, and we exceeded our projections by $500,000. Next, as you go down the line, you see increases throughout every one of those line items. And ultimately, what you look at the bottom line here is, well, let me point out one other one. There's one special other revenue that came in that you saw that was pretty high. If you look at the bottom here where the asterisk is there, that includes $968,000 from the sale of the Rossnor property. We recently refinanced our issue C bonds, which netted us $360,000, and then we had another additional $350,000 increase from gas tax fund. The bottom line here is something that we ought to be very proud of, is that $2,587,000 revenue above what we had predicted. Now, I want you to keep in mind when I presented this budget last year, we had estimated we were going to come in about $17,000 revenue over expenditures. As you'll see by the next slides, we far exceeded that. Next slide. So this is, the previous slide was revenues, this is expenditures. Now we've had some increases in expenditures. First, salary and benefits. The vast majority of that salary and benefits has to do with PERS related costs. And we'll talk a little bit about that later in the presentation, but that's the vast majority of it. But completely offsetting that is a reduction in the expenditures for material and operations throughout the operating departments at $525,000. Capital outlay is almost insignificant there, the whole $91. But we did have some major fund transfers. And what does that mean? These fund transfers are predominantly in two major areas. One, liability, and we all know that with the increased cost of litigation and our increased claims, we've had to do some internal service transfers on that. And then secondly, additional workman's comp costs. Those are very hard to predict because, as you know, we don't know who's going to get hurt and what costs we're going to have with that. And then additionally, we have no control of how many claims are filed and what litigation we're involved in. But taking that all into consideration, from the previous slide at $2.5 million revenue increase and going over on some of these expenditures, we are planning to add a little over $2 million to the bottom line. Compare that to what we had predicted it being $17,000. That's an incredible accomplishment. Next slide. So you've seen this slide over and over again. That's basically plots out revenue over expenditures. The key here is have that green bar above the red line. That means you're taking in more than you're spending. And as you see here, Mitch Lansdale has done a great job ensuring he does a conservative growth prediction and has been able to have that green bar exceed the red line year over year. As you see now projected for 2017-18, it's right at sort of what we did last year with the 17,000, and we're hoping, now we certainly can't promise that we're going to do as well as we did this year, but we're certainly hoping with some of the things that are going on in Gardena that that green bar will be above the red line again. So our general fund balance reserve, this is something that has been something we've been proud of for a number of years. If you look all the way starting back in 2009 with an 8.6 general fund reserve to where we're at now, almost $23 million. Keep in mind that $23 million does not include what you just approved now of the sale of another piece of property, which will make that, considerably about, $400,000 more. So as you go to 2016, 17, 18, you see there's a separation. The light yellow line reflects the money that's been set aside for the Public Safety Center project. Even taking that $15 million out, we're going to be above about $8.3 million in a general fund reserve, which is about 16% of our general fund. So looking at it that way, not only are we setting aside money, but we're doing it in a prudent fashion to ensure our general fund reserve continues to build, and at the same time, we're not incurring any additional debt. Next, these are some revenue and expenditure pie charts here. basically what we're taking in and what we're spending. One thing I'll draw your attention to, because I would be drawn to it right away, is how come we're spending $54 million, but we're only taking in $50 million from the special revenue funds? That's essentially our G-Trans component there. As we've explained many years over, their funding and purchasing cycles are not necessarily in line with our fiscal year cycles, so some of that money is lagging behind. But they are structurally balanced, and those eventually zero out at the end. So that's, if you have any question on why that expenditure. Mainly, if you all know, we're doing some major capital improvements and investment in new buses. So the next couple charts have to do with how each department spends its money. This is all of you, elected and administrative offices. This is a breakdown of what that entails. Next. Secondly, police services. Police operations being the largest percentage, those are the black and whites and the police officers in uniform in the field. The rest is, next biggest is support. General services, the most diverse way they spend their money because of all the diverse things they do, from engineering to building services, street maintenance. You know, they have the planning commission, licensing permits, traffic signals. They have a variety of this, but this is how they spend their money. Next, parks, recreation, human services, parks, and facilities. And clearly they're second most diverse with all of the variety of things they do. The leisure services and building facility maintenance are pretty much tied for the two major expenditures. Followed up with ground maintenance as the third. G-Trans, 49% of their goes to operations, what they call transportation. That's the buses, the drivers that you see on a day-to-day basis. Next, followed by administration and equipment maintenance. $23 million is a pretty big operation if you consider that compared to our general fund total. Our internal service funds, we've just talked a little bit about that. The largest portion of that has to do with self-insurance. We have a self-insurance health plan, so that takes up the largest percentage of it. I recently talked about the liability fund and the workman's comp fund, which we've had to do some internal service transfers to cover those, but that's where those internal service funds are utilized in their expenditures. So this is something new you probably not have seen before. And I wanted to do this for a couple reasons. Here we're just saying we have a 22.9 budget reserve. How is this tangibly affecting our community? So what I am planning on doing is on a quarterly basis reporting to the City Council where we are with our capital improvements. This is the street-related projects with, which total about $6.5 million. Those are things that people see in the community. New roads, sidewalks, curb cuts, medians, sewers, all those things that really affect the quality of life and make our streets what they are today, which, as we all know, are rated very, very high. So what we plan on doing is keeping the City Council updated on those projects. But the next one is another new slide, is about what are we doing in our parks. So you can see here there's some significant park improvements planned for 2017-18. We have the largest being the Nakaoka Center, $400,000 renovation. I know there's been a lot of complaints about the partitions and other things there, and certainly something that's really high on there. But the single largest one is going to be the Raleigh Park renovation at $850,000. But as you see from that list, $2.1 million that we're going to be spending, that is things that people are going to see when they visit our parks, when they visit our facilities, and they can notice a tangible difference on what's going on. Now, best part of this, it's not being funded by general fund. We have Park and Lieu, and then of course you recently authorized the sale of the cell tower lease that's going to pay for these improvements. So our long-term capital plan includes a couple things. One, we've talked about the public safety facility, if that comes to fruition, and the senior community center up. That would be coming probably towards the end of fiscal year 18 before any money is being spent on there, which gives us additional time to add to that bottom line. We have a lot of deferred maintenance in our buildings, as we talked about before on the previous slide, whether it be here, a leaky roof, access to our different sites, just general improvements, anything from paint to landscape or whatever. And it's time we start investing in doing some building upgrades and dealing with some of that deferred maintenance. One of the big, large deferred maintenance is we have our repair facility in Public Works. It's a Quonset hut that I'm not sure when it was built, but it was built a long, long time ago, and it is certainly at its end of life. Those kind of things, now that we're in a position we can address, we need to start taking care of that deferred maintenance. And of course, the sewer infrastructure, something not people pay a lot of attention to, something not that exciting, but it's pretty exciting when you can't flush your toilet. So it's really important that we invest in that. Recently, the sewer fee was revised to allow us to upgrade and enhance our sewer system and also expedite the cycle for that. Next. So we have some challenges. I don't want to paint the picture that everything's absolutely rosy and nothing could affect us. We don't know if an economic downturn can happen. We don't know what's going to happen to the economy. There's a lot of variables that are out there that are within our control. We talked a little bit about our aging infrastructure and how it's important to pay attention to that. Now I want to talk a little bit about PERS. PERS is a major issue for most cities in Southern California. But we have taken some proactive steps here in Gardena. First off, we work very diligently in prepaying our PERS to the extent possible. We get a discount for that. PERS likes the cash in hand. If we give it to them early, they give us a discount. Second, if you remember, a couple years ago, the City Council approved and employee groups started paying half of their contributions. July 1st, they start paying the other half of their contributions. So that's going to alleviate some of that long-term stress related to PERS. Now, we've already started at looking at every possible opportunity to take advantage, whether it's through discounts or other strategic processes to reduce our PERS cost. I know that the Finance Department has given us a 5-year prediction, and we are ensuring that with quoting just very, very static to very small growth, that we can meet our PERS obligations going out 5 years. Now, we're in a good position. We've never issued debt for PERS. We're not behind on our payments. We prepay. All of those things go to the financial health of this city, and a place that a lot of cities don't find themselves in. So something to be cautious of, but based on the projections so far that we have seen, if we continue down this path, we should be able to meet our obligation. And then the last thing is PEPRA. PEPRA will have an effect as more employees retire and they get on PEPRA, our total PERS-related expenses drop. What are the opportunities? We've got a lot of thriving businesses, a lot of people interested in expanding in Gardena. We have a stadium to our north, which I'm sure will have some spin-off. We're continuing to be in a prime spot. More and more people are looking at Gardena as an attractive place to invest business. I'll give you one example. At 135th and Western, the 100,000 square foot building that was built brand new at a pretty substantial cost, already has a tenant. It's a very quality national tenant that provides food service to the airline industry, bringing in at 150 to 200 new jobs to Gardena. So those are the kind of things that we see, as well as some of the residential developments that add to our bottom line. The Lucky Lady Casino. It's nice to see that casino operating and continuing to flourish, meeting its economic incentive thresholds. And we predict in the future that Larry Flynt will do something with that property. And what happens there, I see as nothing but positive for the city of Gardena. And then finally, as I mentioned before, that's 5 stable revenue sources really puts us in a good position. So I want to say a special thanks, first and foremost, to Mitch. He's guided us through this for a lot of years. The City Council, multiple generations of City Council have made good financial decisions, and as well as all of you here now. I want to really thank the directors, Kelly Fugio from Recreation, Human Services, Parks and Facilities, Ernie Crespo from G-Trans, and Joseph Cruz from General Services. But I really would like the finance staff and the budget coordinators to stand for just 1 minute. Absolutely. These are the men and women that put this stuff together to make sure that we are held accountable, that we're audited and we pass those inspections, and that we're on the right course. They do a great job, and I just want to say thank you to all of them. And then lastly, a great partner in the city treasurer, Ingrid, who writes those checks and makes sure that we invest our money in a safe and get the best return we can. So with that, I think the next is if there's any questions from members of the City Council.
Well, City Manager Madrano, first off, I'd like to tell you thank you. This was a great presentation here. And again, thank you to all the department heads as well as the finance department as well. Great presentation. You guys did a great job. Does my colleagues here, do you have any questions or comments at this time? Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I want to say, Mr. City Manager, definitely a great presentation. You hit all the high points in the questions in regards to that. In regards to the capital improvement project, since we already have them kind of slotted and budgeted and everything, are we going to just start, well, I guess we got to wait till it gets funded, but we're going to start now preparing and actively pursuing these things within this fiscal year, 17-18, or is it going to be 18-19? How are we going to do that?
Yeah, the park improvements we're going to be working on this year. Now, we have a long-term capital plan for the streets and our infrastructure, but as we all know, the gas tax basically got doubled. So as a result of that, and discussions with Joseph Cruz, is we're going to have to be looking at accelerating those plans so that, maybe things that were out 2 or 3 years have to be accelerated to be, occur within the next 2 years or the next year. One of the concerns we have, and we're kind of joking about this, but with all of that money floating around, is getting the right contractors and getting them here, because they're all going to be competitive now because a lot of cities are going to be investing in the infrastructure.
Thank you. A couple other questions. In regards to the specially funded revenues and expenditures, I think we still could probably explain that a lot better to folks in regards to the timing of when revenues are received versus expenditures going out, because again, to the naked eye, people just see that delta and they don't understand, well, how are you spending more than you're receiving, although it does balance out to zero. So I think we should definitely really make it clear that, there's the fiscal year, our calendar year, and then the federal funded year, which is October 1 to September 30, where a lot of the G-Trans funding is funded from. So I would like to see us explain that, and I appreciate the City of Gardena actually doing a lot of taking a proactive stance against CalPERS. Most public sector agencies are going to have that unfunded liability hanging out there, and a lot of agencies have not even developed any success strategies to start addressing that. So that's something that we're all looking at, so I appreciate the staff's stance on that.
Councilmember Henderson, before you go any further with your questions, this is a public hearing, so we need to officially open this as a public hearing. Go ahead with your questions.
And then for the sale of the parcel that we gave today, that 400K is actually, will reflect 17-18 to the general fund bottom line.
Yes, we can do a mid-year budget amendment, or we can just roll it and put it into next year.
Thank you. That's it.
Are there any other questions at this time? Councilmember Kaskanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, thank you for the fine and detailed explanation of the budget. I have a question. You mentioned earlier selling of a tower at the park. Can you give me some information regarding that, please?
Sure. So we had a cell phone tower lease at one of our parks, and a number of council meetings ago, we agreed to sell the lease. They bought us out, basically prepaid the lease. And so as a result, we got the money all up front rather than, the lease payments on a monthly basis.
Do we know what was the dollar amount on that?
I think I do. I don't have it offhand, but I want to say, can someone help me here? Kelly knows because she's spending the money, $403,000.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. That's what I was. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Henderson.
Real quick one. And the reason why I just asked all these things, I work for a public sector agency, so I get it. So in regards to deferred maintenance, because that's another thorn in a lot of agencies' side. So in regards to our deferred maintenance for our facilities and everything, are we looking to maybe, instead of trying to do a lot of rehab, maybe actually, like the public safety building, we're going to, instead of rehab, just start something new? In regards to like some of the other facilities we have here, has there been any discussion about maybe just doing a demo and rebuild to actually maximize space versus just trying to keep patching the walls and the doors and different things like that?
So there's it's a twofold response on that. First, there are some things that have to be redone. For example, I pointed out the repair facility. You can't patch that, you can't fix that. That has to be a new building of some sort, whether it be a metal building or something, but that has to be done. What we're going to need to do is we're going to do a strategic evaluation of all our current facilities, see which, number one, is there capacity? Do we need to add on, or is there sufficient capacity here? I've asked Clint Osorio right now to do a strategic office plan for the City Hall complex to see how much space there is so that we can see whether we need more space or we're just not utilizing our own space. But it's some of the deferred maintenance is these roofs are 25 years old. You know, we're going to put out an RFP for our HVAC system. Some of it is new, but not all of it is new. You know, there are plumbing, electrical, those kind of things that it's easy to continue to just sort of put a patch on or do right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? I have one question here. I noticed you mentioned that the numbers exceeded what you were expecting in the license and permits department. How did we do that?
Well, it's all fees. So, you know, whether it be increased business-related activities, it could be, you know, when you do all these major construction projects, for example, when you do 96 units, you're paying a lot relative to plan check fees and then building permit fees. So that's, you know, huge increases. Sometimes they're one time, but if we continue to develop, you know, we're going to have those. When I mentioned the 100,000 square foot building, substantial fees come in from plan check and building permit fees from those. So those are kind of some examples. Plus, we've been very aggressive identifying businesses, and there's been a lot that just operate without getting business licenses.
I think that's more where I was going to.
And so we've upgraded our code enforcement, going out there, being productive, identifying businesses who don't have business licenses or have not been paying or are underreporting. So all of those things, those you know, just that's a lot of leakage there that we have started to slow down.
Got it. Sounds good. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Medina, question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just have a question that I know we've have this implemented for the past couple of years, but I personally would like to know how much money have we really saved in the process of doing the recycling discounts that we take away from the construction people and also the cement people, as opposed to if they would have paid we would have paid to have the stuff hauled away and then they in turn get the chance to recycle it and get the other money, and like double dipping. So my question is, how much money did we actually save in the process of doing that for the past couple of years?
The money is actually saved most likely by the construction company or developer. So they do have to pay for a demolition permit, for example. That's a fee that we get. We keep. If they don't meet our requirements, we get to keep their entire deposit. So it could be $25,000. If they fail to meet the recycling or don't do properly reporting, the city gets to keep that money. But most of the money has to do with how and what incentives construction companies and developers get for recycling that material.
So my question still remains, how much did we save or earn in the process of having that implemented for the past couple of years? If not now, just when you get a chance to give me an idea, and this way I could report to Terry Kennedy and let him know how much we saved.
Okay, we can prepare a report on that.
Are there any other questions or comments at this time? Ms. City Clerk, is anybody from the public had any questions in regards to this?
No, Madam Mayor, we don't have any questions or any speakers.
Okay. So at this time, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for a motion to approve the current budget as it stands.
So moved.
I'm sorry.
We should take these all three at once.
Items, let's see, resolution number 6272.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were voting.
We are. I'm sorry. Okay. Let me just clarify.
Okay.
Okay. So for the public as well, too, we're going to be voting on resolution number 6272, resolution number 6279, and 6274, items 8A1, A, B, and C. And I'm sorry, who made the motion again? Okay.
First, second.
Madam City Clerk, a motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Medina and seconded by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
I have a question, point of order. In regards to the three resolutions, because I'm in favor of two, not in favor of one, for the simple fact that I think there just needs to be more data in 6272. So if I say no on 6272, that's also encompassing 6279 and 6274, correct?
I suggest you separate the motions then.
Okay, we can do that at this time then. So let's start this over again here. So let's take item number, resolution number 6272 first. Can I get a motion for that one?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, a motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Medina and seconded by Councilmember Tanaka on item number 6272. Will you
Mayor
call the
Pro
roll?
Tem Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
No.
Councilmember Cascanian,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next, we're going to take item, item number 8A1B, which is resolution number 6279. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, a motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Medina and seconded by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember, did I leave Musa? Tanaka, thank you. Tanaka, and Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next we're going to take item number 8A1C, which is resolution number 6274. Can I get a motion for this item here?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Medina and seconded by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Henderson, Mayor Pro Tem Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, next up is item number 8A2. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Serta, members of the City Council. Council item 8A2 is an authorization to bind excessive insurance coverage policies for fiscal year 2017-18. Gardena is self-insured for general liability and workers' compensation, but obtains excess insurance coverage for extraordinary exposures. Excess liability for the city and G-Trans are combined into one policy this year again as a cost-saving measure while maintaining the same level of coverage. Insurance quotes were obtained through BB&T Insurance, the city's long-term insurance agency. We had a number of increases, some related to increased payroll costs and workman's comp policies, but the biggest increases have to do with our liability and transportation insurance cost. The total premium for 17-18 is now $2,059,000, which also included the broker gave us a $15,000 discount because of the substantial increases in our premiums. Of note, also our self-insured retention on most policies went from $500,000 now to $1 million, which exposes the city to additional liabilities. The insurance market right now is very tough, especially for transportation and police-related cases. Yeah. We did a very exhaustive search, and this was the best that we had to present for the city. So the total expenditures and fiscal impact would be $1,300,040 for the general fund and $718,000 for the enterprise fund. So what's required is authorization to purchase excess insurance as recommended by staff.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments at this time? Mayor Pro Tem Medina?
With regards to the insurance companies, they were very limited, weren't they? That took on this type of liability.
If I can remind the City Council, a number of years we had some admitted carriers that had previously insured the city who no longer writing policies in California. A lot of insurance agent companies are concerned about liability in certain high-risk states, California being one of them, and many of them have exited insuring police and some transportation-related agencies.
Yeah, the premise of the question was that our hands are very tied to who we have to. We don't have a choice to pick and choose. We have to have whatever's out there. That's all.
Are there any other questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to approve this item here?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Medina and seconded by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 8A3.
Thank you, Mayor Tanaka, Mayor Serta, and members of the City Council. So this has been extended 2 times, so it's finally here. We finally got our funding for our CDBG program. Staff recommends the City Council conduct a public hearing and approve the 43rd year Community Development Block Grant for fiscal year 17-18. The action plan outlines the projected use of city federal resources on all housing, community, and economic development, public works, and human services in the City of Gardena. The action plan also identifies the period in which an aggregate of 70% of CDBG funds will be expended on low and moderate income activities. Any comments received at this evening's meeting may be incorporated into the 43rd year CDBG program, or the HUD Action Plan. The HUD Action Plan provides funding for a number of projects: the Handy Worker Residential Rebate, the Health and Safety Code Enforcement, Youth, Senior, and Family Services Bureau, Raleigh Park ADA improvements, multifamily housing rehabilitation, Western commercial rebates, administration and planning, including fair housing, and allocation of $200,000 for that. Total request for fiscal year 17-18 is $905,000. Now, our contribution was $621,000 from HUD. An additional funding sources came from program revenue as a result of the sale of the Rossnor. As you recall, in my budget presentation, we only booked about $900,000 from the sale, even though the sale was more. That property was purchased by HUD funds, and we had to reimburse the amount. So that's why we had additional program revenue in this year. What is required is to conduct a public hearing and approve the plan.
Okay, this is currently a public hearing, and so we're going to officially open it at this time. Are there any questions or comments from any member of the council? No? Madam City Clerk, are there any speakers who would like to speak on this item?
Serta, we do not have any speakers.
Okay, well, at this time, we're going to close the hearing, and I'm going to ask for a motion to approve this item.
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Medina. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 8B1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, this is an agreement between the South Bay Workforce Investment Board on behalf of the City of Inglewood and the City of Gardena. Under this agreement, the South Bay Workforce Investment Board will enlist the city to provide a platform in which its participants gain workforce training and experience with the ultimate goal of preparing participants for permanent employment and self-sufficiency. The city does not incur any cost since the participants' pay is subsidized by the South Bay Work Investment Board. Agreement complies with all relevant bargaining agreements in that the work experience program carried out under this agreement, commonly called the TSE, will not displace or hinder promotional employment or other job opportunities for our current employees. Participation in this agreement is limited to a period no longer than 12 months, but may be limited to shorter durations based upon program funding. There's no fiscal impact. A number of our TSA workers have found full-time employment with the City of Gardena. And, this has been a great win-win for both the South Bay Work Investment Board and the City of Gardena. What's required is the City Council approve the agreement.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of any council members? Item number B1, yes. Councilmember Henderson.
It's more like a comment. I want to say, Mr. City Manager, thank you for anticipating my questions with the answers. That was going to be my question, how many participants have been able to seek employment and gain employment with the City of Gardena, so I appreciate that.
Are there any other questions or comments at this time? If not, can I get a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Medina and seconded by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 8. Where are we? Item number 8D1.
Mayor Serta, members of City Council, this is a contract services agreement between the City of Lawndale and the City of Gardena for senior citizens case management services beginning July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2020. Under this agreement, Gardena will provide case management services to senior citizens residing in the City of Lawndale by designated staff in the Gardena Citizens Bureau. Staff will provide a minimum of 1 hour of case management services at the City of Lawndale and an average of 3 hours per week of case management services at the Lawndale Senior Center, the Gardena Senior Centers Bureau, or in the field with its clients. The term of the contract has been increased from 1 year to 3 years in order to coincide with the LA County Senior Services Area Aging contract. Gardena will receive reimbursement of $40 an hour for services rendered to Lawndale senior citizens. Reimbursements will be made quarterly and not to exceed $7,500 a year, and the maximum amount for the 3-year term is $22,500. There is no fiscal impact to the City of Gardena's general fund. The anticipated revenue is $7,500 a year. What's required is that the City Council approve the contract service agreement with the City of Lawndale for senior citizen case management services beginning in July 2017 through June 2020.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments? No? Okay, can I get a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Medina. Will you call the roll?
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number AD3. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, this is a contract services agreement, once again, between the City of Lawndale and the City of Gardena for senior nutrition services beginning July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2020. The City of Gardena has an agreement with the LA County Area of Agency on Aging to provide senior nutritional and supportive services to senior citizens age 60 or older. The City of Gardena receives federal Older American Act funds to provide meal programs at 4 sites, including the Nakaoka Community Center, the Raleigh Memorial Park, Gardena Senior Daycare Center, and the Lawndale Senior Services Center. The agreement provides for both cities, Gardena and Lawndale, to operate a senior nutrition program at the Lawndale property location where the City of Lawndale will administer the senior meals program. The City of Gardena will assure that sufficient food and beverages are delivered to the location. Interesting to note that the city provides about 80,000 meals a year under these programs, which is, I think, amazing. The fiscal impact is no general fund impact. This is just a contract services agreement. It is requested that the City Council approve the contract with the City of Lawndale for senior nutrition services beginning July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2020.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Medina, you have a question?
Now, this isn't going to affect the contracts that we already have with Meals on Wheels, or will it?
No, it will have no effect on
Great.
that.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, can I get a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Medina and seconded by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next up is council directives. Do we have any directives at this time?
We have one more item, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
8D3.
Oh, I'm sorry. 8D3. Getting ahead of myself here. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, this is approval of a local agreement with the California Department of Education and adoption of resolution number 6281 for fiscal year 17-18. The local agreement and resolution number 6281 will authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the agreement with the California Department of Education, which has already been approved as to form by the city attorney. Contract is for $1,815,000, which provides funding for the Gardena Family Child Care Program for fiscal year 17 and 18. Child care is provided at approximately 30 Gardena or close to Gardena licensed family homes for children between the ages of 0 and 12. About 180 children are provided with child care services while also providing employment opportunities. The Gardena, under this contract, will offer technical assistance to family child care providers in areas such as curriculum, the child care environment, behavioral problems and development, and age-appropriate practices. There's no general fund income. Revenue to the city under this program is $1,815,000 from the Department of Education for family child care programs. What's required is to adopt Resolution 6281 and approve the local agreement number CCTR-7077 with the California Department of Education.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments at this time? No? If not, can I get a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Medina and seconded by Councilmember Henderson. Will you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
And Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, now we're on to the council directives. Does any member of the council have any directives at this time? Councilmember Henderson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. In light of our budget situation and what we're looking at for our capital improvement projects, I think it's probably a good time for us to readdress our local hire initiatives to make sure that our community definitely participates in a lot of these projects. So I would definitely like to get a second on that directive as we can address our local hire so our community can be involved in all the money sloshing around.
I second that.
Okay, are there any other directives at this time? If not, then we will move on to item number 9A1, which is actually a verbal report from the attendance at the League of California Cities by Councilmember Tanaka. And Councilmember Tanaka, would you mind giving your report during your closing remarks? That's fine, Madam Mayor. Okay, thank you.
Mayor, just a couple follow-ups on the previous directives, if I may.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
One of the things that came up at the last meeting, and all the council members and the mayor have this in their file, is a veterans recognition update. We are working on bringing back a plan to the city council with the various options for you to consider so that you're aware of the different approaches you can take to that. At the last meeting, there was some concern that we did not provide staff presence at the Transformative Climate Communities Program event. We have since then reached out and have engaged to ensure that we are present at those in the future. And then lastly, just so the record is, there's been a lot of complaints about a pothole at the post office off Van Ness, and it has been officially fixed.
Thank you. There was a question here Mayor Pro Tem has in regards.
It's not a question, it's an addendum to what you mentioned earlier regarding the veterans, the veterans program. There's some paperwork that I need to give to you with regards to what this certificate would look like and how the names are being chosen and where they're being chosen from, mostly out of Gardena. But I'll be emailing that to you or hand delivering. So this way the staff can look at it and see how far we get compared to how we did the last time.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, well, at this time, we're going to go to our council remarks. Councilmember Cascana, you're up first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, there was a lot of things going on in the city of Gardena. So on June 14, I attended the Flag Day celebration at Nakaoka Community Center, and Mr. Lansdale was there, our former city manager, and he addressed and he said that we have the most beautiful civic center here, and the flags are beautiful. So I do second that. Yes, we do have the most beautiful flag in the whole world, and once the flag has flown in the city, it looks beautiful. On Monday, June 19th, I went to Gardena Dodgers Day, and it was a great event. We had a lot of fun, and I would like to congratulate Kathy Walker, Nikki Sweeney, and Paulette Francis. They were recognized at the game. They were down on the field and recognized, and I would like to thank Congresswoman Maxine Waters. She was there with us too, and supporting Gardena Dodgers Day. Thank you very much, and I would like to thank Kelly Fugio especially to put the event together, and her staff. Thank you very much, Kelly. June 22nd, I attended City Manager's Mitch Lansdale's farewell luncheon at Nakaoka Community Center on the city lawn. It was a great event, and God helped us. The weather wasn't bad, little hot, but it was breezy a little bit, so I guess God loves Mitch too. So it was a lot of people, a lot of officials, a lot of business people was there, and the chocolate was melting on the tables. Instead of having chocolate bars, we were having chocolate soup. Yeah, here we go. I would like to thank Mr. Lansdale for his 32-year service. Thank you very much. You guide us in a good direction. We appreciate that. And on June 24th, I attended Congresswoman Maxine Waters' town hall meeting, and there was good topics, 3 topics that she talked about. And unfortunately, there was some protesters outside protesting the Congresswoman. But I would like to thank our police department, men and women. They did a great job. You know, no single protester. They tried to come into the hall, but our police, men and women, they did a great job with no problems. The event went perfectly fine, and the Congresswoman left the building safely and with no problems. Thank you very much to Gardena Police Department. June 26th, I attended Gardena Police Foundation's 7th annual golf tournament. It was yesterday. It was a great event. A lot of business people was present. Weather was great. Talked to golfers. Everybody had fun. And I would like to thank Gardena Police Foundation for their great contribution to the city and the community. We thank you very much. And I would like to welcome our acting city manager, Mr. Edward Medrano. I am pretty sure that you will do a great job. You will work with us, and we're looking forward to move the city forward and drive the city. And at the last, happy 4th of July, everybody. Be safe. Don't do illegal fireworks in the city. Just enjoy and have a safe 4th of July. Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor's not here, so Mr. Mayor Pro Tem will take over for now.
That's my report.
I'd like to turn things over to Councilmember Tanaka.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just to start, I was lucky enough on behalf of the city to attend the 7th Annual City Economic Development Conference, which was held in Long Beach. They didn't pass out a lot of information, so my note-taking was kind of back in college, but I couldn't read it. But anyway, they had the LA County economy in 2017 and beyond. And they discussed a lot about communities, counties, business, issues that need to be addressed during the next year, especially how they will drive the economic success of our state. They had innovative cities, education, workforce development, talking about how robotics, technology, all those things are going to be starting to make a play within business, within government. It was quite interesting to show some of the robotics that are being used right now. Kind of scary, almost like human. Tesla was actually part of that. They talked about community choice aggregation, which is buying electricity, and how some places are actually looking to partner up with other cities to see if they can get electric bills down. Future of self-driving cars. Now that was really scary. They actually have cars, specifically right now I think in San Francisco and Arizona, where they have areas that are cordoned off, but these cars have no drivers. And they drive all over the city. And you can get in one of these if you want, but I kind of like to have a driver. So they talked about self-driving cars. Then they talked about waste energy and how they're taking, well, I guess, manure, and they're turning that into energy through a process. It's kind of beyond me. And then lastly, they talked about cannabis. They call it the new economy, and they had somebody talking about professional standards and qualities. It is kind of scary because that's what they talk about is the economy and how they're going to make money off of this. So it was kind of the standard stuff. But it was a great conference. I enjoyed being there and representing the city for that opportunity. My schedule was not quite, I don't think it's packed as yours, but I'm a member of the Elks Lodge here in Gardena, and we have a Girl Scout Troop 3135, who every year puts on a Flag Day ceremony for us. And they bring out every flag that has ever been in our country, and they show each flag as they post it, and we explain why that flag was designed. Flag Day for the city, a great day. Thank you for allowing me to do the invocation that day. I think it was a great day that day. I was lucky enough to be the presiding pastor over a funeral for Bai Fukai, whose husband, Ace, was a dedicated member of Public Works for many years with our city. Went to Dodger Night, had a great time. Thanks, Kelly. The girls really loved running the field, meeting the players that they loved the most. I did this, let's see, I went to Town Hall with Maxine. That was quite an experience. I left out the back door somewhere, I think. Let's see, attended the Gardena Foundation tournament last night. Ed, thank you. The foundation does wonders for us. They really do help us out monetarily and support the PD in many, many ways. So we thank them for that tournament. And tomorrow, I leave for Monterey to attend the League of California Cities Conference for 2 days. And so I'll be unavailable, but back Friday, I hope. And happy 4th. Remember why we celebrate the 4th of July. It's our country. It's your country. Believe in it. And tell Lieutenant Safel and his people, thank you for the Maxine Waters Protection Day. They did a great job. Thank you. Madam Mayor?
Thank you. Okay, next is Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last council meeting, I've had a series of events and meetings. I met with FilmLA in regards to potential opportunities in the film industry here in the city of Gardena, and I know that FilmLA has reached out to us before. Ms. Washington's my classmate. She reached out again, so I think we can make some headway there in regards to some of the things we want to do and everything, so I told her to reach out again after we make a change. On the 16th of June, myself and the former city manager, we met with the district director of Senator Kamala Harris, and the office of Senator Harris was concerned about the impact if there was any reduction or greater reduction in our community development block grant program. So we talked about what we do in the city of Gardena in regards to the community development block grant, and as we did tonight, we actually continued our 43rd renewal of that. So that's a pretty important federal program. So I think they're gathering their data and information to give to the presidential administration regarding the impact to local communities in regards to if that funding is cut. On June 17th, I conducted Open City Hall. Here at City Hall, we had a few folks come in. Everybody else kind of corresponded with me online. Open City Hall is actually working pretty good. As issues come through, I give those issues to city staff, and we work through them. They kind of work through. They get worked through pretty quickly, so that's a good deal. Also, that afternoon, I attended a solar panel installation in our community held by Grid Alternatives, which is a nonprofit group that actually works on installing solar panels for seniors that are homeowners that occupy the home in regards to that. And we talked about job opportunities and new career skills and workforce development. And I also work with the HERO group in regards to solar panel installations and different things like that. So we are installing solar in our community, but I want to make sure that we also benefit not only for the homeowners saving their energy, but also an opportunity for some of our youth to actually gain employment in some of these opportunities. So we want to make sure we do that. On the 22nd, like my colleagues, we're all at the retirement. Mr. Mitch Lansdale, great city manager, 32 years of doing anything, should be commended. On the 24th, as you'll probably hear, we're all at the town hall on Saturday here in Gardena. Somebody made a comment, why would somebody come to Gardena? And I said, because we are Gardena. So we are the epicenter of things happening. We are moving. I also want to commend the police and everyone in regards to there were no major incidents that occurred with the protesters, and it was encouraging to hear the passion of everybody exercise their First Amendment right. So we always encourage folks to do that. And then today I was at a event hosted by Governing in regards to public-private partnerships in relation to capital improvement projects and public safety projects and a lot of infrastructure projects. So a new concept was introduced to me today where when you're building a lot of these public sector entities, you do design, bid, build, or you do a design, build, but there's another one called design assist. And in the design assist, and please look that up, in the design assist, it actually puts a lot of the burden on the actual contractor, so they have a little bit more skin in the game. So therefore, it kind of controls the potential of construction overruns, cost overruns, because now they get to share in the winnings or the spoils in regards to the project. So, because sometimes construction projects do overrun. Also coming up on July 8th, July 8th, 2017, I will be at Mosfekai Park for In the Park with Mark from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. I will be at the bleachers right off of Normandy and Brighton. Happy 4th of July to the city of Gardena. And I would also like to wish my wife a happy anniversary. Tonight is our wedding anniversary. And so we're here at work because we work for the people. Madam Mayor, so ends my report.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a heads up for Councilman Henderson. If you might recall that about a couple dozen years ago, I was in charge of all the filming in Gardena. We at one time we had our police chief back and forth. We had filmings for about 6 or 7 weeks. So if you need some help on that, let me know. But in the meantime, I want to congratulate Chapman Elementary, who participated in the Flag Day ceremonies. They took first, second, and third place with their Flag Day ceremony. Ironically enough, they didn't show up that day because they were out of school as of the 9th, and we did it on the 14th. But we had the most inspirational from Mariah Lowe from Amestoy Elementary. And again, I thank Councilman Tanaka for being our invocation that day. And then I also attended Flag Day at the Elks, which is very interesting. I'd like to get a hold of all those flags. There's about a good 8 or 9 different flags from scratch to now, and it's very educational. I'd like to convert that over later on. But anyway, we all had a good time. I also attended the retirement for Mitch Lansdale. I was blessed enough they allowed me to DJ that day. And then we had some microphone problems back and forth, but the music stayed on no matter what. And I was trying to understand the planning on that, where you had this horseshoe full of tents, and then everybody in the middle is going to the tents. But, you know, we'll figure that out next retirement plan. I also had a chance to play with the Public Works Band for the Ice Cream Social this past Saturday, and that was a lot of fun. We also had a robust, is that a good word, robust town hall meeting with Maxine Waters. Some of the people lied about where they lived, and they got in there and they had a bunch of signs saying, yeah. And but I have to commend, and not I have to, I must commend our police department, because they did all the right things at the right time. It could have been a very volatile situation, and I commend the police department for having decorum and keeping the peace. And as loud and as rowdy as they got with the bullhorns and stuff, up and down Western and up and down Normandy, it still was a good town hall meeting. A lot of issues were resolved, and even inside there was no pushing or shoving. There was no physical contact, but for those of you who are from Hawaii, there was a lot of stink eye going on, and it came out really, really well. And I commend the police department for keeping the peace. I also attended the Rotary installation, the 94th Rotary installation here in the city of Gardena, where Steve Sherman retired as our president, and Sheila Dorschel is now our new president for 2017-2018. And I also want to wish everyone a very happy and safe 4th. And for those of you who are not aware, if you get caught with fireworks or throwing them off, especially the illegal ones, they're a $1,000 fine. So pass the word around. Maybe we'll have a quieter 4th. But in the meantime, enjoy your 4th. That's all I'm at, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Since the last city council meeting for myself, I had a couple of events I off. Hopefully everybody had a nice Father's Day. So happy belated Father's Day to everyone. Also, but I know Mayor Pro Tem headed up Flag Day, and I want to thank you for doing that every year. You do a great job. So again, thank you for that. But one of the events I attended a day or so after that was at Torrance Memorial Hospital. Torrance Memorial Hospital received a very generous donation of $32 million from family, last name is Lindquist, and they already have a hospital wing, named after them. But they donated this $32 million to the hospital to open up a new wing to handle orthopedics, cardiovascular, and I believe it was stroke care. And it was featured on the news, and it was a great day. And a lot of people were very happy to get this donation. And to date, from the time that they started donating to this hospital, it's been over $100 million memorial, so we could have better health care in this area here. And what I didn't know at the time was that some of the services prior to these donations were not offered in the South Bay area. If you had certain ailments, you would have to go to Cedars-Sinai. So having this new wing here and the new facilities that they're going to have at Torrance Memorial Hospital can make such a difference in whether you possibly live or die. So we were very happy to the Lindquist family that donated this $32 million and total $100 million to the Torrance Memorial Hospital. And I was happy to be a part of that and represent Gardena and just walk up to them and tell them thank you on behalf of the city of Gardena. Also, since the last council meeting, I attended Dodger Day, had a great day out there, lots of fun. We had little Dodger hats and T-shirts. That was really nice. I also attended Mitch Lansdale Retirement Luncheon. I just want to thank the Parks and Recreation Department for doing such a great job. It was a very eloquent event. It was a little warm out there, but it was probably one of the nicest retirement celebrations that I've been to yet. And I know Mitch really appreciated it. And I want to thank all the departments for all the special recognitions that they had given them. They had a lot of really creative things. A street said Lansdale Lane. I think our finance department had a large, like a check or a dollar bill with it was something, but it was really nice. So again, thank you to everyone who made that day very special for Mitch Lansdale. And I know he's on vacation, but if he happens to watch a recording of this, again, the City of Gardena, we'd just like to thank him for all his years of dedicated service to our community. The City of Gardena would not be what it is right now if it weren't for Mitch Lansdale. And because of his tremendous efforts and hard work, over the years were able to flourish even more because of his efforts. So again, thank you to Mitch. On last Friday, I attended an event at Albertsons with the Los Angeles Food Bank, which was called Feed LA, and it was done through, as I mentioned, the LA Food Bank in partnership with Albertsons and also with Channel 7, where they were broadcasting all day long people who were donating to our local food bank. And it was really great because there were participants from local businesses. Our police officers were out there, and they came with a large truck full of food, and they formed like this line, and they were like a conveyor belt, just taking food from the truck all the way to the pallet where they were donating it. But there were many other businesses out there. There was Jersey Mike's who was there. I think there were representatives from Gardena High School who were performing. The whole day was a lot of fun. People who saw the broadcast throughout the day on TV, residents started coming down to Albertsons and donating food. And to my understanding, you can still donate food at Albertsons. Once you go to Albertsons, you say, I want to make a donation to the LA Food Bank. Whatever items you buy, they put it in a special bag, and it goes on to the donation. So I believe they're taking donations for maybe like another month or so. So if you want to do it, go to Albertsons on Artesia and Western. They're still accepting that. And also, if you would like to see pictures of this, I would really like to encourage people, go on Gardena Police Officers' Facebook page, and you can see pictures of their donation, how they were giving back as well. So I thought that was really nice. I, too, also attended Congresswoman Waters' town hall meeting on last Saturday, where she informed the public on a lot of things from access to affordable housing, foreign affairs, and healthcare. She had a great panel up there, and it was a very informative meeting that day. So I just like to thank the Congresswoman for keeping the community informed on what is happening in regards to the local community here. And then later that afternoon, I attended JCI, which is the Japanese Cultural Institute's annual festival that was held right here at 162nd, and very nice turnout to that. And then on yesterday, I attended the 7th Annual Police Foundation's annual golf tournament, and I'd like to thank Gene Hell and the rest of the foundation, their board, for putting on an amazing foundation golf tournament. It was really nice, and we had a great time out there. I'm still sore from playing golf, and I was told I did really good. I don't know how the scoring went, but they said I did good, so I thought it was fun. And before I end my report, I would just like to officially congratulate our new city manager on the position as the acting city manager, and welcome to the seat. I know you're going to do a great job. As was mentioned earlier, you got big shoes to fill, but I think you can handle it. So congratulations on the new position here. So with that, we're going to go on to announcements here. Coming up on Tuesday, July the 4th, we're going to have our annual 4th of July fireworks at Raleigh Park. But to begin the evening, we're going to have a food truck. I believe it's like a food truck brigade here at Raleigh Park. It's going to start at 5 p.m. And later on that evening, we'll have a free fireworks show at Raleigh Park. And for those of you, if you're not for sure where it's at, it's on 132nd and Western. You can bring your blankets. I'm sorry, 132nd and Venice. Thank you. You can bring your blankets, lawn chairs, umbrellas, and enjoy the day at the park. Just a special note, there's no alcohol allowed there. There's no fireworks, personal fireworks. There's no smoking and no animals. So it's a free fireworks show. It's a great event to attend. I've been attending this fireworks show since 1979, since we moved to Gardena, 1978, I believe. And every single year, I don't think I've missed one yet, I don't think. But I would definitely want to encourage everybody to please come out to our annual 4th of July celebration here. So now we're moving on to our remembrances. Tonight we're going to adjourn in memory of Miss Patricia Daniels, a 35-year resident and Gardena, 35-year resident of Gardena and owner of Mom's Bail Bonds. We're also going to be adjourning in memory of Miss Patrice Nadine Harrison, her daughter, the daughter of Patricia Daniels. She also is a 35-year resident and a Gardena owner of a hair salon. We're also going to be adjourning in memory of Mrs. Mary Kazui Suishi, a 90-year-old active participant in the senior activities at the Japanese Cultural Institute at the Nakoka Community Center. She was the president of the American Society of Hiroshima Nagoski and an A-bomb survivor. And I believe we have an additional adjournment here. We're also going to be adjourning in memory of Mr. Raymond Edward Beeman, 65-year-old beloved father of the accounting and finance managers, Ray Beeman, of the Administrative Services Division here in the city of Gardena. So tonight, we're going to adjourn our regular Gardena City Council meeting to our next scheduled regular City Council meeting at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, July the 11th, 2017. We stand adjourned. Thank you.